Hello, and welcome to ShePack Unleashed. I'm one of your hosts, Tania.
I'm Nichole. Welcome to your weekly dose of candid discussion and the pursuit of finding your tribe in this journey of motherhood, womanhood, and sisterhood.
I'm Ashley. Join us as we leave no stone unturned. In each episode, we have heart-to-heart conversations that aim to challenge and empower one another.
I'm Jenny. No more waiting. ShePack Unleashed begins now. In this episode, Poolside to Pencils, navigating back to school chaos.
All right, friends, welcome back again to ShePack Unleashed. We are going to talk about transitioning back into school this time around.
Fun.
After a long summer,
Sarcasm.
going back into school can sometimes be a rough road, often very joyous for us parents.
And you have to do it in July, which blows my mind. So this is like recent for us, but like a while back for you.
Yeah, I will say, right, as I'm the only one here who has a kid in year round. So we literally get 1 week between grades because of the track that we're on. Some tracks get like a 3-week break. So it looks a little bit different for different even year-round families. But the track that we are on, we literally get 1.5 weeks, I should say, right around the 4th of July. So we get a holiday in between, which kind of makes it feel longer.
Congrats, you're a third grader. Wait, you're a fourth grader. In 1 week.
No, literally this past summer, I took his last day of 4th grade picture and his first day of 5th grade picture one day apart because I forgot. But it was literally only 1 week apart.
So funny.
Too. So it was fine. But I will say there are some of these things that still hold firm for us, even just in terms of preparing for a new grade level, right? There are all new supplies that you need and sometimes a new mentality that you need. My son is just now in 5th grade, which boggles the mind. But we still had to get all the new supplies and everything else, right? And then we get a 3-week break. That's his summer break in August. So it's funny, like he was in for 3 weeks, went out for 3 weeks in August, and then he's back in again now, right?
So it's dress rehearsal almost.
It is, for better or worse.
Yeah. You don't really have to adjust because you didn't really end school. You had a week.
No,
it's not as jarring.
It's not as jarring. And it's one thing that I do love about year-round school. So I will say that, and I will leave, obviously, the conversations about kind of the harder transitions to you girls. But there are definitely some general ideas for folks who, are coming off of 2.5 months out of school. You're going from camp schedules or at home schedules to back to school. It can be a bit of a hard thing. One thing that we instituted this year was Ryan now has his own wake up alarm, which might be silly that it took us this long.
This is your first.
I know.
I didn't say it.
How did he wake up otherwise without that?
He would always wake himself up.
Oh, like he just naturally...
He had a very firm, strong, natural alarm clock, body alarm clock at 7 a.m. That kid was up and it was beautiful. 7 was a really good sweet spot for our family, that it wasn't 5:30 a.m. like some people I know. And then it also wasn't like 9 a.m. where I'm having to drag him out of bed. It was just really nice. As he's gotten a little older, I've noticed the mornings are starting to get a little later because he's also trying to go to bed later too.
Right.
Now have an alarm for him, and he's doing really well with that.
Did you practice with that ahead of time at all? So he was ready for it?
What are you going to practice with?
No,
but that's what I mean. Like, did you do
it was a hard launch. It was a hard launch for us.
Love it.
I feel like I have to do a more gradual adjustment, especially around sleep, because in the summer with swim team and the sun, like my kids stay up so much later.
Yes.
And then our school starts really early. So they leave my house at 7:30 to go to school.
Okay. That's a big difference for us. Yeah.
We have to be like, there's a significant shift in like bedtime, and I can't do it just in one night. It doesn't work. I have to try to like look at a calendar and be really thoughtful and be like, okay, we need to start adjusting our bedtime back and like wake up times. And there's some really tough mornings where I had to be like, okay, you're going to wake up and like plan something in the morning to force them to be awake so that they would be tired in time to get back. But it's not a fun time.
Do your kids kind of follow the same rhythm? I feel like for a while at least, Cruz would get up early.
Yeah.
Luna is the one that you have to like pull out of bed.
Yes.
Is that still true?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cruz is easier to wake. He also goes to bed easier.
Okay.
She would sleep
She's the
all
party
day
animal.
if I would let her.
Are you seeing a transition in like Cruz's bedtime? Because right now with like Evan, we're seeing him stay up just like later in general because he's getting older and like not going to bed at the same time.
Yeah, we're seeing the same with Calvin's. Like he needs a little less
Around 9.
sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I am seeing it, but I was assuming it was because of the summer and when we did swim team, like, and
That's
that
very normal.
was why going back to school was hard, but maybe it is more of an age thing.
And I think it's hard when like the rest of us here have not quite in there, but we do bedtimes together. So like it's hard for us to like.
Oh, interesting. We've had to do bedtime separate because their sleep has suddenly
Hell
changed so
no.
much.
I'm doing 2 bedtimes.
No, I
do
hear
2
you. I mean,
bedtimes
they're like
every
back
night.
to back, but Derek is
There's
much-
Only me
not.
most of the time.
I know Derek is much like Luna. He would rather sleep in. If he hits that last sleep cycle, like he'll sleep to like 8 something. So the transition back to school for him, especially first year in like elementary school, starting kindergarten.
Yeah, he's in kindergarten now.
Yeah. It's an early start. Like the
What
first
time does your school start?
the first bell is 7:45.
Okay.
Guys, my son doesn't start till 9:15.
Well, in Durham, they flip-flopped
wild.
it. So all the elementary schools start first in Durham so that the teenagers in high school can sleep in. It matches their natural rhythm.
I
But
support that so much.
Yeah.
which is great. But oh my God, we have to get up so early. So we spent the like later part of August after our family vacation making that transition. My kids are so routine oriented that like
Same.
I mean,
really
really
hard
ours
to
is
shift.
different because we start at 8:30. So like we're right in that sort of, I don't know, it feels like a sweet spot.
Feels
It
like
is,
a reasonable.
yeah.
9:15 feels too late. I will say.
yeah, because like the work days started already by
Right.
then. That's
Yeah.
hard.
How do you even do it? But like the transition into school for my kids is not that hard because they don't transition classes.
Oh, that's right.
So like their teachers aren't changing. Their stuff
For how
is
long? 3 years?
3 years at a time.
So
Oh, even between grades.
Yeah.
K1-2 is all the
Grades
same?
don't exist in Montessori,
Yeah.
really.
Right.
So like first, second, third is the same
Okay.
teacher every year and the same classroom, and there's not much that changes for them. And it's like when you're even talking about like school supplies, like I don't buy new school supplies. It's the same.
I do have a hack for school supplies that I can share
Are they in
later.
class
I want to hear the
together?
hack for school supply.
No, they will not put the siblings together.
Okay.
in
So
the
different
classes.
sections, but
Different-
technically the same class, right?
Yeah, so like they're in the same, they call it lower L.
Yeah.
So this year for Cole was a transition because he went from the children's house in kindergarten to first grade, which he will have the same teacher now for the next 3 years, and we won't transition him again. And this is Evan's last year in that grade.
That's nice for like establishing routines because I know for a lot of our kids that consistency and knowing the expectations,
Yeah.
and what has to be done when, and that predictable schedule is so like helpful.
Yeah, and because in their classes, it's 10 kids for each grade level. So there's 10 first graders, 10 second graders, 10 third graders in each like group. So there's 3 groups in each like lower elementary, and then they move to upper elementary, and then they move to adolescent.
So you don't get the joy of buying school supplies every year?
That's not joy.
Tanya, what is
Okay.
your hack?
All right. School supplies are another, joy for some, bane of existence for others, right? I remember growing up as a kid, I loved the back to school shopping, right? You get your list and you need this many rulers and you need this many folders and this kind of pencil and all the things. I don't find that same joy now as a parent that I did as a kid. Because the thought of going to the store and having to find all those things and check off the list and everything else doesn't bring me the same joy. Now in schools, in some schools at least, they offer through this third-party supplier, they have already the list of everything 5th graders at Olive Chapel need for their 5th grade year. Just across the board, the teachers have agreed on this set of parameters. I click a button a month before 4th grade ends, and it automatically pays for all the things that I need, and they ship it directly to my house, and I have it there and ready.
Yeah.
And then we just take it on the open house or the meet the teacher night that happens a few days before the first day of school. It is beautiful. Like I started using it maybe, I guess it was
What's the
2nd grade
service
year. Ooh, I would have to look for it. We can link it.
Okay,
But like the
your
school
school
sets it
the
up.
school facilitates it.
It'd be nice to just ship right to the school so you don't have to like even carry
have to
it.
label
But then
everything,
they would
right?
have
Oh, yeah.
we don't label. No, so what happens at least at Ryan's school is all these supplies go into the pot for the classroom. the folders that we send in, Ryan may or may not use, but he's going to use 4 folders, right? And so it just standardized the supplies that were coming in. There was no discrepancies between what brand or quality or any of these things, which I thought was really nice. And it took all of the legwork off of the parents. And I don't know that I pay any more. It might be a 5% increase or a 10% increase, but my God,
time and gas,
the time that I save not having to go to the store and get all the things is so worth it.
Go to the store, like ever? You've been to the store? Like
You do it all
just
online.
do, like,
you have to buy
well,
something.
to like tease our entitlement episode too, like that's kind of an exercise.
Yeah.
Like take the kid to the store so they're not thinking these supplies just show up. I'm entitled to them. Like, no, you got to pick it out.
Well,
you got to buy it, budget for it.
Because the kids are in the same class, the supply list is the same. So I buy in bulk that first year.
That's nice.
Like 3 of the thing, so that like if they need composition notebooks, I buy 3 and they have it each year. Like it's just in a closet of school supplies and I pull out the next year.
Oh, and you're like betting on it not changing?
Well, it doesn't. It's Montessori. It doesn't change. It's very like stable in what they add. Like
That's
there might
nice.
be one unique thing for each grade, but the bulk of it is all the same. And I just buy it in bulk at the beginning of whatever that grade for the 3 years is.
It is good to know.
Kids
wanna
go to a
make sure.
school that has uniforms.
They do go to
so
school
it
that
is
has
important.
uniforms.
It is
Everyone's wearing
even
the
more
same
good
important
point. Yeah.
for them to be labeled because you can't just look at an item of clothing.
No,
and
if you
know
look at
that
a
it was-
cardigan, it's going to be a uniform cardigan. You have no idea whose it is because they're all exactly the same.
that makes
these
more sense because I was like, I don't label any of my kids' stuff. If he loses it, it's his fault.
I don't label it either because I want to be able to pass it, like sell it off.
I label everything but underwear
Okay.
because Cruz told me if he loses his underwear and someone finds it, he doesn't want them to know it was his.
Interesting.
Like smart
How is
kid,
he using his
man.
underwear at school?
Like
Just at a
gym and like camp and stuff like that. Like they change clothes.
underwear?
Well, if you
for
get sweaty,
swimming.
you might need to.
Yeah.
Personal choice.
That's good hygiene.
I just think it was a fun boundary for him. He's
is
like, put a label on anything but my underwear.
In elementary school, that would be a new concept for me. Middle school was the first time we ever had like a locker room
Yeah,
to
like
change in and things like
well,
that.
I mean, I remember that my mom made a big deal of school. We'd go buy new outfits, we'd buy new clothes, we'd do the whole thing. I don't do that with my kids at all.
But I think some
traumatic
kids
for me.
need that. Not like the pressure moment, but I feel like for my kids, there's like it's not that we
It's
really
like a
need it.
ceremony
It's like a
of
ceremony
it,
to like mentally get them ready for like gearing up to back to school. Like our school, we don't buy school supplies because it's a private school and they provide everything. No, again, we pay for it another way.
Yeah.
But like I miss that moment. I would love to take my kids to the store and
take
be
mine.
like, here's what I will. I will offer that service.
What about like
Auntie
getting
Jenny.
them a backpack or getting them shoes?
But I don't.
The shoes are not part of
the
their
shoes
uniform.
We do. Yeah, we don't do backpacks every year. Ours have been, handling in. We do buy like it depends. Like if you have a last name A through L, you bring tissue box, and if you have M through whatever, you bring like Lysol wipes or something. But it's very little that we have to do. But I do think like I remember back to school, and it could be stressful, but like it also can be like a good transition moment. And for my kids, they need that to like shift their brains from like summer to like school soon.
Well, so how about the mornings, right? Like when your kids went back into school, is there a routine that your kids have, right? Like in terms of, I know I can speak to what we do, but also I'm thinking like clothes and things like that. So for Ryan, his morning responsibilities, he gets up, he picks his own clothes out in the morning. I have tried to institute the policy of on Sundays, we pick out the week's outfits. And we have like a little accordion folder thing that hangs from the rod in his closet that he could just burrito roll his clothes, stick them in there, and then they'd be ready to go for the morning. In my brain, that was beautiful. In his brain, not necessary.
Do you struggle with picking out clothes?
Sometimes he gets a little grumpy in the mornings and he doesn't want to pick out his own clothes. He wants me to do it. And I say, no, dude, you're 10. Sorry.
It's not a struggle my kids have. They hate it.
I am no longer picking out your clothes. You are 10 years old. You are capable. Here's the weather for the day. You can ask Google what the weather is for the day. And he will still come downstairs. Like I had to send him back because he came down with fleece pants on a day it was going to be 99 degrees. And I was like, no, homie, I can't send you to school in that.
Step outside and let me know if you can be outside all day in that.
Yeah, North Carolina though, it's a very different temperature at 8:30 versus 2 p.m. when he's outside for recess.
Evan wears 2 pairs of pants. He wears his shorts underneath it and his like long pants in the morning, and then he takes.
God bless. He has a quick change.
That's actually what breakaway pants were made for in the 2000s, man. Or those zip-off cargo pants that turned into cargo shorts. God, those were awful.
He literally wears 2 pair of pants.
I do think that is a valuable exercise for them, right? Because like he's in a trailer, and I asked him, I was like, "Are the trailers hot now, or are they extra cold?" He's like, "They're freezing." So I was like, okay, so even though it's going to be 99 degrees, you still need to bring a hoodie, right? And so it's that kind of thing. But, if I could get him to pick his clothes out for the week, now it's just on him. And he has to get his lunchbox together. He has to pack his book bag with his lunchbox and his homework folder and his water bottle and all of those things and get breakfast. That's our morning routine.
And does that differ in the summer for you?
Again, our summers are so short.
Yeah.
Yes. He gets pajama days. Like I don't make him get dressed into day clothes necessarily unless we're going somewhere, because I will probably be in my pajamas until we have to go somewhere too.
But do you change out of what you're sleeping in?
No.
For our summers, like whatever. If you're going out, like you're not wearing last night's pajamas going out.
Yes.
And you're not wearing last night's pajamas tonight to bed. Like 24 hours.
Oh no, they're not allowed to have electronics or start their day until they are dressed. Like we are dressed.
But that's what I'm saying. It's a good routine. It's a good habit. Like they're starting the day fresh. It probably does something in their brains to like signal new day, new things, starting over. But that is a big transition for us.
I like pajama days.
I do.
I'm a pajama day girly.
Very rare in our house that we do pajama days. It's mostly like you get up, you get dressed, even on the weekends.
It's funny to hear this because I do love giving the kids like a sense of responsibility, especially around packing their lunches. But planning clothes, I'm like, oh yeah, they have to do mental work there because our kids again are in a uniform. So like, there's a little bit of variety, but very little. And the biggest thing is just remembering what day is a gym day. Like there's one day of the week they wear a gym uniform if they're not going to change into it. So I have that written up like on a board and on like right where they walk out just to double check. Like, oh, Luna's gym day is Monday, Cruz your Thursday. But that's like the extent of.
And do your kids make their own lunches?
Cruz does. Luna, we're working on it.
Yeah,
but she's a rising kinder. Or she's in kinder now.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I know. Derek, we're working on it too. Like, it's just not quite a skill he's like mastered being able to make his own lunch. But he sees Calvin making his own lunch, and Calvin has for a couple of years. What part do you
think he can't master? Just out of curiosity. Because my kids, I'm the opposite here. Like, they make their lunches, they make their breakfast. Like, they have been for like years.
I think part of it's related to his ADHD and his food difficulties.
Yeah.
So I think it's just challenging for him to fathom, what am I going to eat? What are my options? What am I going to feel like when the time comes? And, oh, look, that's more fun over there. I'd rather do that right now.
Yeah.
So it takes practice. And as part of our transition back to school, we're practicing the discipline of like, this is a task you do in the morning. So even if it wasn't making lunch and packing a lunch, at least have the conversation to start getting used to doing the mental work of you need to pack a lunch for yourself.
So funny because our day is so early, like we don't have the time to do most of this in the morning. So like lunches are packed the night before.
And things don't get like soggy.
Clothes are like, with very little exception.
Interesting.
Yeah. We just like everything is laid out. It is, slim time in the morning to get out the door
Calvin's
on time.
Up at dawn, so.
And the new thing this year with Cruz being in 4th grade is he's allowed to be a walker or ride his bike. And so we haven't let him.
Close enough for that?
We're close enough for that. We haven't let him do it yet, but he wants to. And so that's like a whole nother level of independence there, which is very different than Luna, who just started kindergarten. I know Derek did too. Any tips for starting kinder?
Man, a lot of grace for everybody. A lot of grace for everyone. Like the staggered entry week is lovely for kindergartners so they can kind of get in, feel it out, come back and try again. But something we struggled with Derek in particular, more so than Calvin, I've noticed, even when Derek was in daycare, was the like end of the day, just I'm done masking,
the
I'm done holding
post-school
it
crash.
together.
Even now in 5th grade, I noticed it for his first week. So I don't think it goes away. It might get a little easier, I will say, for Ryan,
different
but
for us, you know, but either way, like when the kids come home, they just want to veg out. I realize now they're using their like 1 hour of school day screen time to regulate at the end of the day because
their decompression.
Yeah, they're so dysregulated from like holding it together all day that they come home and before they get the chance to explode into their genuine selves, they're just like, let's center, let's still the body.
So interesting because Derek changed schools, right? So like he's going to a completely different school for kindergarten.
Yes, to him it's his brother's school.
Right, versus like Luna and Cole, when they transitioned from
school.
Preschool to kindergarten, it is the same school. So
Yeah.
there was, I like
That boggles my brain.
Yeah.
She still cried. Like it's literally across the hallway from preschool to kindergarten in her life. Like drop off's the same, uniform's the same, like everything's the same. And she was bawling about going to kindergarten. So I don't really know where that.
Well, for Cole, it
from.
didn't change. Like it's same class, same teachers from preschool to kindergarten.
Yeah,
same
It was
friends.
same thing.
I had to
all
be like,
across.
Luna, you can wave to your preschool teacher every morning, honey.
Did they still have like the post-school crash? Because my son definitely did that, where it's just going from the kind of freer, maybe not free for all summer, but like much more lax schedule versus when you go into school and you're expected to sit at a desk for a lot of the day and you're expected to stand in a line and wait your turn and all these things. And then they get home, like they keep it together, God bless. And then they get home and like feral beasts when they just have a moment to crash.
Yes.
That
I think
crash doesn't
so
get
many
easier for us throughout the year.
No.
Yeah.
I think so many parents want to be like, yay, back to school. Like, let's go out to dinner and celebrate. And I think it was Jen Hatmaker who posted years ago, like, resist the urge, parents, like old and new.
Yeah.
Like, do nothing, stay home, maybe put on a movie, order a pizza, like, trying to make it at least like
Easy peasy nights for at least that first
for
week.
a while. It was just really
It's
tough.
exhausting. I mean, think about it as an adult, if you were to start a new job, what would your first week be like?
Yep.
Really exhausting.
Yeah.
New
I think
places,
it's what it's
new
like.
Don't sit at desks all day. They don't they don't stand in lines. They don't do those like typical school things. They have the ability to have like outside environment where they go work outside or inside and all different types of seating arrangements. And it's not the same as like your traditional school. So we don't necessarily get that same experience or collapse. Like it's more of like, for me, getting back on the schedule is harder for me. Like, like we have to get up, we have to get ready, we have to like get everything.
And
back
you're the morning
together.
person in the family.
Yeah, I'm the morning
so what
person.
changes for you when it's back to school time?
It's more of just like getting up less leisurely. Like during the summer, I get up, I come downstairs, I drink my coffee.
There's a hard
I
time.
read my book. Like in the school year, I don't have that. I got to make sure they're up. I got to make sure they're doing their stuff. While I'm not doing any of it for them, they're getting dressed, they're making lunches, they're packing their bags. It's still the like herding of the cats. Herding of the cats, trying to keep them on task.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I find the like hard time and the external urgency, the external accountability, like gets me out of bed. Like, helpful. Very, very helpful.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I get out of bed way more when I don't have to go anywhere because I like get quiet alone time.
That's so interesting. I just sleep. I just snooze.
That's also why I wake up earlier on the weekends than I do during the week. Like I have the dread of like getting up to do the thing. Like I have more of the like, oh my God, I don't want to do the thing versus like, oh,
That's Ryan on the weekends. He will get up at 7 on the dot on the weekends.
Evan's the same
because
way
we
too.
don't have a screen time rule on the weekends. 7 a.m. is the earliest he can do that. And so like miraculously at 6 video or screen time until 8 a.m. and all of his things have to be done for him to have like that 45 minutes. And so he will stay in bed until 7:30.
We cut screens out during
we
the
cut
week.
screens out
in the
during the
morning.
week in school year. We can't. It was too much of a fight.
Well, no,
Just
that's
in the
fair
morning
because
or
your
for
kids
the
are going to
entire
school
week?
at 7:15 or 8:30, right? Like it was 9:15 for us. We've had like
Monday.
half a day before my son goes into school.
right.
So
Right.
That's very different than Luna. Like Cruz gets up early, but Luna would like to roll out of bed at like 7:10 and still go to school at 7:30. So like if she
that's
could,
fair.
there's like plus doing hair, it's like very little time.
Yeah, like
For
I don't
her,
do the kids' hairs
Like
or anything.
at most, I will play if they're having a good morning. morning, I will play one Bluey, which is 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Long enough for me to do her.
No, if my kids had to be out the door at 7:15, I don't think we would have screen time in the mornings either. So just to be clear, I think that would go out the door for us as well. It is only the fact that he has such a late start.
Yeah.
Right.
We leave the house at 8:45.
We have the inverse, right? Because our elementary schools, they dismiss at 2:15.
Oh my God, that's so early.
I know. For working parents, it is shit. It sucks so bad. So by the time like I pick them up and get them home, it's 2:45 or whatever. But like Bob and I are working for 2-3 hours. So like
do they do aftercare?
No, they don't.
Are they going to this year?
There's hundreds of kids long wait lists for that stuff. And it's not realistically feasible for us. So
my kids argue with us about how many days they go to aftercare. They want,
they love it. Yeah.
I want to go to more. And
I don't even try because I know the wait lists are long and there's other families that need it more than we do. And like that those spots need to be there
because you both work from home, and so it's feasible. It makes life harder for you for sure.
In some ways, yeah. But God, if I'm on a meeting and there's just a 5-year-old running around and like outside my office, it's like, hello, join me.
So who's watching them, or are you kind of like going free for all this year?
Yeah, right now it's a free for all kind of situation. Like
Ours
we don't
like
have
that
proper
too.
after school, but we're saving the screen time for after school, and they get 1 hour a day on school days. What the pediatrician said that the American Academy of Pediatrics says is okay. So, all right, your 1 hour, do what you will between getting home from school and 5 p.m. Like that's it.
And your kids, do they have homework yet?
So Calvin started homework last year in 3rd grade. Yeah.
Okay.
And the deal was like, you need to make an attempt at your homework before you go do your hour of screen time. There were definitely some days that he's just done.
He needs disconnect.
Yeah, he needs to disconnect, decompress first. And we tell him like, listen, it's your choice. And he gets all the homework at the beginning of the week. So he gets to pace himself too. It's not due till Friday. So like you had an awful day and you feel like doing nothing but like rotting on the couch with your iPad, do it. That means more work tomorrow. So be ready for it. And you choose. And he learned over the course of 3rd grade how to moderate himself and make those choices. Like there were weeks he was done in 2 days and he's like, hell yeah, I got extra free time. And like other weeks that he delayed and procrastinated, wasn't feeling it. And then Thursday afternoon comes around and he's hating himself for it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but Derek won't have the homework. So there's a challenge there with them not having the exact same thing.
Well, there's no research that suggests that homework is helpful. A bunch of worksheets together. They were very easy.
Interesting.
And she could be done in 2 minutes if she wanted, but just to like, for her to have an equitable thing of like, you have to do your homework. I didn't ever hand it in to a teacher. Yeah. It was just like, it was basically tracing a letter. I have them all. I could provide them.
Yeah. I would love to check that out.
Yeah.
The idea right now is like, let's read a short story. Let's read a little book while your brother does his homework and then you can both go run off and do your thing. And like Derek's been reading a lot lately, just picking it. Awesome. I don't know what he's doing. He's just suddenly reading words and I'm like, cool. Can't spell. That is the chore here.
Oh, we do dishes.
Summertime, Calvin was putting away dishes.
Oh, every single morning, no matter what day of the week it is.
I know. We got to do more of that.
Nichole, I think it was your suggestion, but we got those little boards where you could write in whatever you want and toggle like done or not. So we have those for the school year and it listed out like the things they should know, but having the visual was really helpful of like, eat your breakfast, brush your hair, get your shoes, pack your backpack. And they do start toggling it. And then at the bottom, I put like bonus, like whatever the chore was. Like Cruz lets the dogs out every morning and Luna feeds the dogs. That's about it that they can handle in the household, which is different than the summer. But I know that organizational tool of those like toggle things was something you had suggested.
Yeah.
Where does it live in your house?
On our fridge.
In the kitchen.
Yeah, yours is on your fridge. Yours in the kitchen.
So right now it's on the counter because my fridge is not magnetic. But it would be perfect on a fridge. Like
my thought is for things like brush your teeth, brush your hair. That's an upstairs activity though. So if they come, maybe this is a weird thing for my kids, and I have this issue too. I think it's just the way our brains work, but like
where it is.
Those are upstairs tasks,
They're
not
upstairs
downstairs tasks.
So the list needs to be upstairs.
That needs to be like in their bathroom.
So we actually-
on their bedroom door.
We have a
maybe.
checklist of like bathroom
Maybe, like-
tasks in the bathroom already that says like do
Interesting.
these
That might
things
work for
in
Evan
this
because I sent him
order.
back upstairs literally every day to be like, you did not brush your teeth. But our shoes and socks are downstairs.
It's so funny you
Our
guys
shoes
talking
are,
about
socks
this.
aren't.
our socks are
Interesting.
downstairs
Because-
the shoes.
Yeah,
Because we literally this year bought 2 sets of everything for toothbrushing, and we have a whole bin of Luna's hair that lives in the down.
The question, because that's exactly what happened. We would send them back upstairs, go
is the ultimate motivator
Same.
for my kid. Like if you tap
Yeah.
into whatever that motivator is, if you can find it for your kid, sometimes it's not as clear cut, but like if that's what he needed to do to get screen time, kid's doing the things, right? And like
That's
I don't have
awesome.
to hover over him at all anymore. And I do
this is
think
an
like
ADHD thing for us
Yeah.
where it's
I
hard
for
to stay on
sure
task.
agree and understand it wholeheartedly. And I am not taking it for granted,
Yeah.
right? Like I am thankful that like this is not a huge struggle for us. Once I found the key to his motivation, then it became easy peasy.
I love that. You're tailoring
Before
it to
we
him.
found that, it was a struggle every morning, right? And we had oodles of time and it was still a struggle. And I was like, why is this a problem? Once I allowed screens in the morning after a certain time and after this and this and this and this and this, done.
Well, ours is sort of the same, but like you don't get to have your afternoon screen time if you did not accomplish all your morning tasks. So you're
Sure.
not getting it in the morning, but you
Oh.
can't have it in the afternoon if something did not get checked
Do
off.
they have the opportunity to finish in the afternoon to earn it back?
Depends on what the item is,
Yeah, some things you
right?
miss
Like
the
you
moment
can't-
and like,
you
oh
can't
well.
not have put your water bottle in your bag.
But their
right?
morning tasks are all setting them up for their day, right? Like other than the dishes.
yeah, no, my
the
kids have
dishes was
dishes.
like as totally separate. That's a chore in
Yeah.
my brain. The rest of his chores, quote unquote, are literally
Oh,
can't fill up their
go all
water
that?
bottle at school.
if they don't have a water bottle.
Oh, if they don't have the water bottle itself.
Right, like if he did,
and he can't just like go thirsty and like deal with the natural
no, the school
consequences.
will call me and I will have to bring it.
because the school would probably get in
Oh,
trouble.
I see.
Like
in my mind though, the
to load the dishwasher back up during the day, they do have the opportunity to unload it when they get
okay.
home.
It's
But
variable.
if the sink is full of dishes
Right.
and you didn't unload it, I have to now unload it to continue the cycle of dishes. So,
right,
like,
right.
If
That's exactly what I'm getting
yeah,
at.
it's a variable. It's depending on like
I like
how
that.
full the sink is. You might be able to have it, but it'll also depend on if they have after school activities or
Yep.
not, right? And
Oh,
like
true.
we have a ton of after school activities.
Well, so that brings me to a very interesting portion of this in terms of how do you organize yourselves to make the school year successful, right? Like what have you done that has not worked? What have you done that does work, right? And like what are some maybe tips and tricks we can share?
I mean, we definitely have, between me and my partner, have to plan meals. Like, so we do a lot of after school activities and my husband works nights. So figuring out when dinner is and who's doing it. We do that every Sunday night. We kind of have like, we also have rituals. You've heard me talk about that before. So dinner at a certain time, after school activities, Luna's are basically Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Cruise is basically Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That doesn't mean they're doing something 3 times a week. It just means like, if they want to sign up for dance, I'm going to try to put it on a Luna day because I can't be in 2 places at once or pay someone.
And it all falls on you usually.
It all falls on me usually. So I almost feel like my organization is more like the mental load that has to be between me and my partner than like a physical like homework area necessarily. I don't know.
How do you record who's doing what to remember?
So we have a meeting every Sunday night where we get together and talk about like the dinners and who's doing what, like literally who's on what base, who's picking this up, and there's kind of the norm, but there's such variability that we have to like check in. Like,
do you write that down somewhere? Is it on a digital calendar? Like how do you?
All of the above. So we have a dry erase board in our house for the month. And then Beto and I share a digital calendar. There's a lot of like visual reminders though, because if I don't see it, it doesn't exist. We have like certain hooks that their backpacks hang on and their water bottles have to be there. Like having a specific place for the school shoes. That's the biggest fight in our mornings is like, where are your shoes? I can't find my shoes. Get in the car. Yeah. So like the shoes, specifically school shoes, have to live in one place.
Do you have different shoes for school and life?
I've started to. Like, it's not what I wanted, but because they're just so hard on their stuff.
Does the school require different shoes or no?
No.
Okay.
But there are strict rules. Like, if you're wearing white socks, they're ankle socks, or if you're wearing leggings, they're black leggings, and if Luna's in knee highs, they're maroon, and that's it.
My gosh.
Like,
okay.
So like, you can't just get any pair of socks, right? So
like, it's fascinating to me. Like my son is like the one shoe king. Like he has.
Okay, that have like
Sonic.
Not the opposite kid. It's Cole who wears Furline.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Evan who wears Crocs. Like Evan, you can't put anything else on but Crocs on him. And when he has to wear something else, it's like
Does he wear them in sport mode?
Oh yeah, all the time.
But I mean, like when we think about tips or like what I've tried to learn or every year I try to get better, right? I think it's about identifying like where are those points where things break apart? What is the cause of the fights?
Yeah.
And then if it's the same fight, like do something about it. It's
Yeah.
something I've had to talk to Beto about. Like you cannot yell and get in this fight every morning about shoes.
Yep.
Like it's not that they're trying to be bad. They don't have the skills yet. So like what do we need to do or put in place to like help build that skill that is missing so we don't have this shoe fight every morning at 7:28.
Yeah, I guess that's why I asked about the shoes, because literally for us, like there is one bin for shoes at the front of the door and he has one pair of shoes. Like his shoes can't go missing because they're the only ones he's got.
What happens when he takes them off somewhere else?
Yeah.
Doesn't.
Oh, well,
or he can go find
my
them.
kid takes shoes off.
There'll be one shoe in the playroom, one in the shower.
It might
the
be
routine and doing the same.
It might be a chicken and egg problem.
Yeah.
If they think I have another pair somewhere, it doesn't matter where I leave these. It may be a self-fulfilling prophecy almost, right? That it's like,
interesting.
it doesn't matter where I leave these. I'll find another pair in the other bin, right? Because I have
looking for their specific
5
Yeah,
more
mine are
pairs.
very specific. Like this is the pair I will
You
wear.
streamline to one pair of shoes and
Yeah, I think one of the things we used to have fights about was socks, and I moved all
at all. I wish.
Yeah, so, like,
that makes so much sense.
and I only buy one color.
Yep.
Like, so they all have only white socks, and like there's no matching. There's just a bin of the same socks in one.
See, that makes me laugh. You guys looked at me like I was crazy for saying there's one pair of shoes because they have preferences on their shoes, but you guys have one type of socks. Like
that's exactly my thought. If the theme here is standardization,
there is potential for you to streamline your lives if you buy them less pair of shoes.
Yeah, I don't think that's true in my case, but I appreciate the sentiment.
I'm just saying. They will wear however many you provide them.
I hear you, but Luna might love her sparkly light up sneakers. She's not allowed to wear those to school. The stores may stop
making those magically. I don't know. They just don't have them in your size.
Well, she's got a lot more restrictions for school.
Yes.
Yeah. So like letting her have other shoes that she doesn't have to wear to school gives her more freedom outside.
Shoes are the only thing they can pick.
Yeah. It's interesting because like when you're talking about organization and streamlining, right, we have a bunch of activities. And so our kids know their activities and they're responsible for getting themselves ready and their things ready for that activity every day. And that's part of their morning routine of having that ready so that when we get home from whatever it is, they have to have that thing ready to go. They have like a separate bag.
Do you guys have, we have like designated bags for like baseball season and we have a designated bag now for swim season that he became in charge of and I stopped. I was like, you know what?
From school, I have their soccer bags from whatever you put in there. And like, you got to start
sticks they had to keep up with and like a quiet pad to practice on.
Like
but
practice pad for
they don't let them do percussion until they're older. So we now have a trumpet that is rented. And so I thought about you and all the fair play stuff you've taught us about because I just looked at Beto and I was like, the trumpet is here. It is a rental. Everything about this trumpet is you. Yeah. I am not cleaning it. And obviously Cruz needs to do it, but like the management of it, like is already stressing me out.
Are we taking bets on how long this lasts before you take ownership of this trumpet?
Sure.
I would like to take a bet
like
on this.
A day.
Like,
I've made it a couple weeks.
You're going to make it.
I think you're going to find the trumpet. If it gets to the point that you find the trumpet like really grody with like slobber and stuff, because horn instruments and the
saliva. I can't.
That'll be the point that you say like, screw this, I'm taking over.
It's a rental.
I know. There's natural consequences if they don't accept the rental. There's But to set the stage for success from the get-go, you make those expectations clear to say, you are almost 10 years old. This is your response. You chose this instrument. You desperately wanted this instrument. You got it. Now you have to be responsible for it. This is what it requires to be responsible. Help him understand what components go into that. And then here are the consequences of not being responsible for this thing that you chose.
Yeah, I hear you, but
it's a different.
But I'm even trying to delegate all of that mental work and teaching to my husband.
The word
I can't do it all.
Very interesting to me there.
Say more.
So you guys know Bob and I follow like the fair play. right? And you're delegating to him, like, give me the list and I'll go do the thing. Like, no, you decide the list and then I'll follow the list, right? So there's been a lot of ongoing conversations with that. How do we like balance those things? Because I don't want to own all the mental work of it. And I want to be able to let it go at some point too, where it's just not on my radar at all. I don't have the bandwidth for it. I don't have the spoons, even if I wanted to. So someone else has to like take it on.
We're not there yet. I tried to, whatever word, not delegate, the presents for birthday parties this year. Like, you can do this.
You guys would really benefit from fair play.
And we have the deck, we have the book, we've had the conversation.
Kids
just not
gifts,
happening.
not your own, is its own card.
I gave the card to him, and guess who still did it? Me.
Well, it's interesting to think about it in that way, because I think about it as I am the house manager. I am the project manager of our lives. And I take on that role as like what I want to be. Like, I want to be willingly be project manager. Does that mean I carry the mental load of everything? No. I send that mental load to you to do, but I'm still the project manager.
You can identify
it. Implicit agreement that that's kind of what works for you guys and how it happens.
And I don't think it has anything to do with like for us, the gender norms, because we practice exact opposites in our house.
As long as it's an explicit conversation, it's been negotiated, everyone agrees, then do whatever makes sense for your family.
It's just that it's like for me, I can't let go.
Yeah. That's okay.
And I don't want to let go.
That's totally okay.
But I feel like the back to school season brings up so much of that, right?
Oh,
There's the forms that are sent home, either paper or digitally. There's the supplies to get. There's like the emails with information about class parties or pajama day or bring a snack or
that you have to get approved as a volunteer.
And even in Fair Play World, there's a whole card for school transitions, specifically for like we just went through transition to kindergarten, like a new school, a new something. Yeah. That is a designated like bigger than usual kind of task to manage.
And like even communication with the teachers, emailing the teachers. Yep. My husband works at the school.
God, this is
sorry.
And
you make me laugh.
He talks to them, and I don't mean anything bad on him. Like, they have conversations, but it's the part where I'm like, oh, you talked to Mrs. So-and-so. How did the conversation go? What did she say? He was like, it's good.
What's good?
What did she say? Like, so like to get the level of information that I want, he's like, why don't you just talk to her? You have more questions than I do. And
because you want to enter his world and be interested in him and how his day went. It's good connection for you guys too in that way.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a struggle. And there have been times where I've laughed out loud because Beto was literally in the school.
This might
in a couple of years.
This might bite me, but I've done that before where like something's been going on, like messaging the teachers, right? And the teacher's messaging like me and Bob at the same time. And I'm like, oh, Bob was supposed to do that. And I've like thrown him under the bus respectfully about it because I'm like, I
haven't done that yet. Nope. Like with even this past summer with Cruz going to summer camp, that's supposed to be a Beto thing. And then we got an email from like, he didn't send in his physical to the camper thing. And the physical's done. You have to put it in the portal online. And I was like, ugh. You know, so.
And my smart ass over here would be like, reply all. Please speak to my husband about the details of that.
No, I didn't do that. I was like, here's the
form.
And
the fact that you did your part of designating yourself as number 2 on the contact list, that he is number 1 on the contact list, not you.
Yeah.
That is no longer an internal thing in your house. That is an operations thing for the school. If they are not reaching out to the first point of contact, that's a problem operationally.
Maybe
exactly.
Maybe he called him, he didn't answer because he was subbing. Like, there's a lot that I don't want to make bad assumptions here. I just think, like, to your point, I do think there's a significant amount of work, both mental and physical, in preparing for back to school
and ongoing,
and the first couple weeks of school and ongoing through the year, and making sure it's clear who's doing what is really important, or it can be such a cause for fights either between partners or between the kids and you.
So I'd love to hear from our listeners the poll on like, is it you? Are you the mom or the female or the, I don't know,
manager?
Manager who, Or is it like your husband? Because my husband is the designated school person. He does all of the like field trips, all of the school stuff, all the paperwork, right?
And like, how did you come to that?
Right. And how did you come
decision?
to that
Did you like say,
Does it play to people's strengths?
Right.
Is it because of work constraints? Like there could be so many factors that help guide that division of
we
labor.
didn't even talk about work constraints and how that fits in.
Right.
Yeah.
Different
But
stuff.
For us, right, there's different work constraints for us in the day. So I became the default school parent, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'd love to hear from our listeners about like what are your tips and tricks for back to school? Who is the default parent in your like school designation, or do you split it 50-50? Because I feel like for me, the 50-50 is actually harder.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
You don't have like,
you don't know who's
then you
doing
don't know
what.
who's doing what, right? Like versus like having the designated.
Unless you have two separate schools. Like you get the preschool, I'll get the elementary.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
50-50
Oh,
would
that's
be
a
really
whole
hard.
other conversation.
Yeah.
That's going to be our
we would
life.
be here all day,
later.
but we are.
yeah, for sure.
Yes, we need to wrap. So this wraps this week's episode of ShePack Unleashed. We hope you enjoyed listening to our back to school stories and tips, and we hope that you've weathered the back to school season well in your home.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, feel free to follow us on all of the socials. We're also on YouTube. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and comment on our posts so that we can hear more from you guys about what you're doing on this back to school season.
Thank you so much for being a part of our pack.
This is Ashley, Jenny, Nichole, and Tania signing off. Stay wild and fierce.